guys, so I said I was going to do a video about my sewing patterns. It's been quite difficult to actually like set up a decent shot, so I've not planned anything. I basically just got my patterns out and I'm going to jump straight in and see like what's what and show you some of my favourites, show you how I store them, that sort of thing. So first things first, I store them in just boxes. This one had sweets in, this one had Thornton's chocolates in, like a massive box of Thornton's, one had crackers in. Ideally one day I would love for them all to be in these sweet boxes. Luckily for me, Ricky gets one, a box of sweets like this normally every year for Christmas, so it works out quite well. I make him eat the sweets and then I steal his box. I've just found a bit of fluff on one of my patterns. So, yeah, basically the way that I organise them is they are all separated into like skirts, blouses, dresses. My dresses are even separated into woven dresses and knit dresses, and then they are all divided up with these very stylish, very Instagram worthy, I think, little cardboard plaques. One day they'll be nice, but at the minute it's a new system, so we're just using these. So I will jump straight in and pick a box. Let's pull some patterns that we think are interesting. Okay, so this is probably one of the first things I should mention, is if I trace a pattern or I draft my own pattern, they go in a little, I make my own little envelopes out of, well, I just fold a piece of paper in half and then they get written on what pattern it is and what size it is, and sometimes I write on if there's any alterations, so they're pretty full. So there's loads of these because these are just like things from Great British Sewing Bee books, Tilly and the Buttons, anything that has to be traced. So, interesting patterns. I'm currently looking in my woven dresses section. So interesting ones. This is the Blitz dress. That's a nice pattern. I've just made this. Oh, this is a good one. This is stolen. Basically, when I went to high school, they had a lot of sewing patterns, but they used to use them for like, they used to rip them up and like use them to glue on backgrounds and stuff in the textiles room, and to me that seemed a little bit like sacrilege, so I liberated some so that they wouldn't get wrecked. I didn't know what I was liberating at the time, so I basically just went for anything that looked like it had all the pieces in it. So this is a Simplicity 1 hour dress. So that's stolen from Sandbach Girls School. Sorry guys, didn't mean to. What else have we got in here that's interesting? Another stolen one. That's a Burda one. That's in the wrong size, which is quite upsetting, so I quite like that one. This one's a nice one. This is one that was my grandma's, so I think it must have been like a mail order type pattern thing. So it just says on the front, it says like her address, where it's sent to. Apparently it's from DC Thompson and Company Paper Pattern Department in Dundee, who I've never heard of, and it's a pin tuck dress. So yeah, it looks like that. So it's quite an old one, but my dad says he can remember her wearing this dress, but he doesn't really say who it's by. But it's a nice pattern with a little pin tuck. So that's a nice one because it was my grandma's. I'm trying to think what else I've got. This is one of my vintage ones that I got from a vintage fair. I've not made this one yet. I made the other one that's very similar. I'm now into a wardrobe builder section, and they're all just a bit wardrobe. This section is pattern packs. Yeah, I divide them into pattern packs as well. Oh no, not pattern packs. My pattern packs are all in the cupboard. So confusing. Let's see what other interesting patterns I've got. I don't tend to have many like interesting patterns just because I don't buy them very often. I'm one of those people who's a bit stingy when it comes to spending money on things that aren't fabric. So I do just tend to This is a beautiful pattern. It came with a magazine, and I literally only bought the magazine because I really like the pattern. I'm hoping to get this made up soon, but I've not cut my size out yet, and I've not done anything else to it yet. So yeah, I'm not very good at sometimes at staying organised. I go and buy these magazines because I think that like I really like the pattern, and then I just never get around to making it. This is a Calvin Klein Vogue one, so that one's quite nice. This was given to me by one of my friends at school's mum. I suppose she was my friend as well, because we used to sit together a lot when we were in the pub. And it comes with like 3 different views, and it's just quite a nice skirt. It's a bit long for me, but I'll probably shorten it down. So yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I do, is if I think I've got a pattern and I know what I want to make from it, I put a post-it note on it with what fabric I'm going to use, or if I need to get a fabric, what fabric to get. I've got a lot of Prima patterns, which I really love. I think Prima do some really great shapes, and they're so reasonably priced. This is one of my absolute favourite patterns. This is one of my posher patterns, and this was bought for me by my pen friend as a wedding present, so I could make myself some pyjamas for my honeymoon, which was quite nice. It's a really great pattern as well. It's the Green Line Lakeside pyjamas. They're so comfy. I've got like 2 pairs, and I'm thinking of making another pair. What else do we have? Trying to find like interesting ones that are a bit different. I've got loads of these from when I was younger, and my mum used to buy me sewing magazines every week, and I've never made any of them, but I have lots and lots of these, and one day I'll have to make some of them. But I think they're all like, it's on tissue paper, but they're all overlapping each other, so they're on tissue paper, and then I've got to trace them, which is just my idea of hell, to be honest with you. One of my favourite patterns, Tilly and the Buttons Cocoa Dress. Brilliant for if you just want to have a quick sew. I'm like trying to find some good ones. Those are pretty full. I can't actually see a point where I'm going to need to buy more patterns, because I feel like I've just got so many now that even if I find a dress that I like online, I can probably alter one of my patterns to make the same dress. Oh, this is a cool one. So this is Ralph Rucci, and this is a Vogue coat pattern, and both me and my sister have this pattern, and we both have the fabric, and one day we are going to make them, and we are going to have matching coats. Well, hers, we're not going to be completely matching, because my fabric's like a grey wool, and hers is like a textury, velvety blue, I think. But we do need to get around to making them, but we just haven't yet, because we're lazy. And because we're always so busy. This is the infamous 80s style Vogue pattern that I just finished. I just made a coat from this pattern and then pulled the entire thing apart and reworked it. I mean, look at those shoulder pads. I mean, that's quite a shoulder to be like wandering around with. I mean, if you wanted to like rest your pint somewhere, you could probably put it on one of them shoulders. This was also given to me by the lady I used to serve at the pub, who I went to school with her daughter. Right to the last box now. I was thinking that I was going to have more interesting patterns to show you, but apparently I don't. This is interesting. This is the first ever dress that I made. I used this pattern, I used this pattern to make it. I made it out of an old curtain, and I didn't have enough fabric, so the skirt had a centre front seam, and I didn't realise that you needed to use like a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, so I just went from the edge of my foot, because that was what I thought was the most sensible thing to do, and it was huge. Like, the actual dress, it was just massive. Like, it was unwearable. I don't think I ever wore it, because you just couldn't. And then I made another dress out of this pattern because apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. But I remember making the first dress, it was like cream as well, and I hardly ever wear cream, especially not a full cream dress. And my Auntie Catherine was like, oh, what seam allowance did you use? And I was like, what did I use? And she was like, the seam allowance, so you know where to sew. And I was like, I just went by the edge of my foot. So yeah, that was an interesting one. But I do now I hate the pattern now because it's just not something I'd wear. But I do have quite fond memories of it, of making my first dress. Oh, I'm getting snotty. I think we're all getting colds. I'm not loving it. This is a cool one. This is another one that came free with a magazine. I made my set of these out of Liberty. If you scroll down in my videos, you will find a review of the pattern down there somewhere. But yeah, it was a really, really nice thing. I also made the dungarees version as well, but I don't wear them very often because the denim really bleeds. So whenever they go in the wash, they have to go in the wash by themselves. And then afterwards, I have to do a rinse cycle on my washing machine because otherwise the denim just goes everywhere. That's a nice one. We'll talk about that one. Oh, this is a good one. We'll finish with that one. I think all my good ones must just be in this box. Okay, so this is another pattern that came free with the magazine. This is the Lily dress. And I am really struggling to find a nice fabric to make this out of. I think because it is a Chinese inspired dress, it's got like the sort of it's got like a mandarin collar, it's got sort of the, what's it called, a diagonal bodice opening. I want to do something that's, I don't want it to look like a costume. I don't want it to look like I'm trying to wear some sort of Chinese inspired dress. So I need to find a fabric to do this in. I want something floral, but not too floral. I was thinking maybe like a brocade would be really, really nice to do it in. But yeah, I'm really excited to make it. I just haven't got around to it yet because I'm trying to find the perfect fabric. And then the pattern that I am going to finish with is one of my absolute, well, I've never made it, but it is a pattern that I really, really love. And it's all been traced. So this is all the traced part with the alterations made. And I don't know why it says that on it. And these are all the pieces, like the original pieces. I mean, you can see it's quite an old one just by the tissue. It's one of those that's not even got like any markings on it. Oh, that's a good piece to show you. It's all just hole punched. So it's this pattern. Excuse me. It's Vogue 9255, and it's just like a really nice Vogue dress with like a cummerbund type thing. But the reason I like it so much is because it came from the Goodwood Revival. If you've never been to the Goodwood Revival or heard of it, it's basically like, it's like a race weekend for cars, but everybody dresses up in vintage clothes and they have all these vintage stalls and they have like music from the 1950s and they have it's just fantastic. It's basically like stepping back in time. You usually go on the first day, you'll see like a couple of people who aren't in costume, and then the next day you'll see everybody in costume, because even the people who weren't in costume have gone out and bought costumes from the stalls. And I went quite a few years in a row. I think I went for like 5 years in a row, and we just always seemed to be plagued with bad luck. Like either I'd have a cold, or I don't know, I'd have a cold, or I'd have like a really upset stomach, or I'd just be tired. Or one year I went and I'd forgotten my contact lenses, I could barely see. And one year we went, and a couple of days before I'd got an infection in my knee, and so I got this infection in my knee. I was on really heavy antibiotics. I couldn't walk. I had to walk with a stick because I was in so much pain. My knee was like out here. It was ridiculous. I've still got a scar on it. and my dad bought me this pattern to cheer me up because I was grumpy and I had to keep going back and having naps and my leg kept hurting, and I was pretty miserable because like it's the best part is walking around all the stalls, and I was just so uncomfortable that I just didn't even want to walk around. So my dad bought me this to cheer me up, and it's a Vogue pattern, and from what I can remember, yeah, it only cost £5, so that's pretty good for a vintage Vogue pattern, to be honest with you. And all the pieces are in it, and the instructions are in it, and yeah, I've just never made it. So yeah, that's I suppose the most interesting parts of my pattern collection. Thank you very much for watching. If there are any other videos that you would like to see, please give me a shout. Bye guys!